this is going to be starting off in the bottom right-hand side. Our red Terran player from Jin Air Green Wings, Maru.
And spawning in the top left side, also hailing from Jin Air Green Wings, it is SOS.
And we've seen in the past, you know, it's been talked about, Roddy brought it up in the little pre-match analysis, that SOS kind of gets in Maru's head, but also Maru sometimes does things that don't make sense when SOS changes it up. So really hoping we see a Maru today that sort of does stop and thinks a little bit, because Maru has been one of these players throughout the entire time of watching him play who just is a bit arrogant with his play and will stick to what he knows and sticks to what he believes is going to happen.
He's also a trend setter, and seeing this pylon at the bottom of his ramp, like, this is also one thing we have to think about. These guys have practiced a lot together. The Jin Air Green Wings guys, they've always talked about how the best players in the world are from their team house, and they can get up to a lot of sneaky little things. And so far, Maru's now going to know, okay, like those cannon rushes you did to me in practice, you're not doing it this time. But yeah, I lost a little bit of missed mining time there. So there's going to be lots of mind games going on in this series, and there's going to be stuff that we don't even know about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a thing when these guys have played so much in practice and so on. They come to this event preparing against each other, because what's the likelihood of meeting each other? Yeah, further down the line, but you've got to get further down the line in the first place. So you can't just not make use of the resources available to you in the team house. As the CC and the Nexus comes down either side, we're getting a pretty regular expansion here, even Nexus before the Cybercore from SOS. So really not looking to get across the map too quickly, not looking to be overly aggressive. As for Maru, very standard Reaper, of course, into the factory, and it looks as though he's saving up for the reactor, not even a Marine.
Yeah, he hasn't placed the factory near that reactor too, which usually symbolizes that he's going for something like Widow Mines later on, because he doesn't want to do the switch, which I like a lot of stuff that Maru's done this game. He scouted with the SCV. He also respected the possibility of that cannon rush using an extra SCV. So that just shows that he's respecting everything that SOS is doing, but he's not overreacting, which is beautiful to see that he's not flustered in any way yet. And he's had the whole day to prepare for SOS as well, given that he was waiting in that top 8 bracket.
Stargate is about halfway done, so SOS making his first tech choice of the series, and Stargate's not like PvZ, where Stargate's like the go-to every game. Stargate really is in PvT a little bit less seen, and for SOS to mix this up, it could be something like Phoenix and using those to move in towards Colossi into the mid-game as well. This might not just be that super standard Oracle harass, get some map control. So let's see how that plays out as Maru just going for a single Hellion, and there is a Phoenix to start from SOS as well.
Somewhere in the world, Rotty is smiling right now, as Phoenix will be the unit of choice for SOS. And I do like that, because Maru, he is a very harass-based Terran. Yeah. Like, he likes to shut down his opponents, slow them down. He's very good at multitasking, so going for a defensive unit like Phoenix, it's great against everything that a Terran can throw at you early on, and depending on how he uses them, I do like this little scout squad by Maru, though.
Yeah, Hellion and Reaper, it pretty much guarantees the scout right as the Reaper gets in. I mean, okay, you've seen the Phoenix already, so even gets the grenade off. A little bit of extra pain there as the Hellion gets dropped back down and will go down. That was the entire point of the Hellion, because the Reaper alone would have been killed, maybe wouldn't have seen the Phoenix. But the Hellion gets in there as well. Yeah,
there's a few things that you make the Hellion for. So if the Protoss does go for those adepts across the map, and you build 2 Marines, you need that Hellion. You need a little bit of extra support. So given that the adepts never came, or at least not super early on, he was just like, okay, I'll use it for scouting. Now this Widow Mine does get a shot off, and that is neat. And he immediately picks it up, he sends the Marines over, and so far no damage has been done. Ooh, even saves that SCV there and gets off the Widow Mine shot. This is a great start for Maru.
Absolutely everything going his way. Those adepts will leave via the shade. But 2 successful Widow Mines, a dead adept and a banged up Phoenix. Definitely not the start SOS was looking for, as his extra gates will finish up here. A probe across the map. SOS really wants to make something more of this.
He certainly does. These Phoenix, they're getting a little bit of damage here done. And I mean, one has taken a lot of, hull damage, I suppose you could say. And behind all this, he is getting a reasonably quick third still. So even though he might be planting on some pressure pretty soon, and I mean, that aggressive pylon, it's nice for scouting when your opponent takes his third as well. So far, Maru's been very, very respectful and continued to make a lot of Marines. Oh, is he going for a little push against this? He's getting a lot of anti-air with this additional Cyclone and also the Viking.
And you know what? It might work so well, because these adepts are going to make it interesting, right? But at the same time, that third base has almost no chance of surviving this attack.
I'm a bit scared because one bunker will not hold off all that aggression, and if that third is just cancelled by SOS, like, Maru needs to make a decision here, because he's in the middle of the map, but the Protoss army is right outside his base.
Yeah, we'll see what he wants to do. He's been very cautious as well. He's expecting those units to show back up, but nope, the Phoenix are still over here. One Adept shades in and sees absolutely nothing. Viking already landed Cyclone there as well. He's actually got the Adept on the Warlock, so he cannot lift it. So Adept now in the main base, and this may be more of a problem. Not even the bunker to help out as SCVs are pulled instantly, but the Phoenix already making the lift on the first Cyclone.
This was so good by SOS, sending one Adept forward just to block the depot.
Pylon.
And lulling Maru into a false sense of security, but he does recall everything, but everybody's actually being recalled with super low health. These two Widow Mines, these Marines, this landed Viking and the tank. How do you break this? Lovely pull with the probes, but he doesn't burrow at the last second there. Lifts up the Widow Mine, lifts up the Viking. The tank, though, is firing everything from afar. And that little group of Marines, they take down all the Adepts.
So many Marines still left over as the Phoenix left lifting. Last few Marines are getting some kills. Phoenix after Phoenix dropping. More Adepts showing up, but there's still a siege tank here. And 3 Marines are currently unkillable. And a Cyclone showing up as well. Maru continuing to come across the map right now. Widow Mine off cooldown. And now he starts up that bunker as well. It looks as though Maru might just have SOS's number here in game 1.
Wow, SOS on a clock here. If that bunker gets up, he's in a lot of trouble. The Phoenix, they fly over seemingly one last time. He does pick off the Cyclone. The Phoenix are low, the Adepts are low. The Marines focus firing down these Phoenix, and great micro by Maru in game 1. Flawless decision making by the young Terran.
In that match, I'm sure. If he gets there, right now it's just 1-0 for him. He needs 2 more maps as we're going into Eternal Empire for map number 2.
Both the players looking pretty calm. SOS with a few more facial expressions though. But speaking of one of the best Terrans in the world, spawning in the top right, it is Maru.
Going down to the bottom left, blue Protoss from Jin Air Green Wings. This is SOS.
What a cute little technical first game to start things off. And I mean, I'm glad that Maru actually took the first map because I feel he's a player. If SOS does throw something a bit cheeky at him, we have definitely seen Maru kind of fall apart against it. And now, wow, okay, this game SOS is throwing out something a bit cheeky here. The double pylon before the gateway. I know there's a lot of Twitch chatters out there chanting max packs because I think that's exactly what we're going to see here.
Yeah, drops down the gas in the main base, just waiting for pylon number 2 to finish. And there is our gateway in the natural expansion of Maru. And of course, for Maru, scouting now becomes so important. But guess what he isn't doing? Scouting at all. Probe pulls back, goes from the direction you'd expect it to come in from, so Maru doesn't see this just yet, although he does send another SCV down, so maybe he will go to scout across the map, have a little look to see, and of course recognize no gate is there, no nexus is there, then he'll realize something is up.
Yeah, I love this SCV scouting he's doing. Like, lots of Terrans on the ladder, they don't do this. They haven't done this pretty much ever. Now, if Maru was a worse player... Oh! Okay, I was wondering. I was going to say, if Maru was any worse of a player and he sent that SCV down to one of the bottom locations for the mineral patch, he'd have seen that gateway, which is so unfortunate for Maru, but he at least will get a scout off across the map. But I wonder if he's just going to scout the nexus and run back home.
Back around. Nope, he's going to go all the way up. He's going to make sure of it. And as he gets in, he's already clicking around the edges. He wants to know, where is your gateway, SOS? It's not on this pylon. That's a cybernetics core. And now Maru instantly going to start a bunker, but he will go for the low ground defense.
That is really ballsy, because now he's thinking, okay, where is this gateway? And it's behind you, Maru. The Zealot immediately starts. He's going for the delay on the CC as opposed to the delay on the bunker, which I think works. Oh!
SCV.
Yeah, that SCV just getting away here. He's making single Marines off a reactorless barracks. Like, he looks like he's holding this pretty darn well so far. Really good micro by Maru, keeping these SCVs alive, but will it be enough? I do love the fact that he's pulled the SCVs as well here.
Yeah, extra SCVs coming down. That bunker needs to finish, but even then, it only covers one half of this command center. The other side, with a Stalker still there, could get tough, but you know what? There's nowhere for this Stalker to run just yet. It might just have to leave, and then it will have to come back into the bunker, looking for the SCV surround. Doesn't quite get it, but the Reaper can chase, and that Stalker is in trouble. And Maru, are you kidding me? What a shutdown.
That is how you play StarCraft 2, ladies and gentlemen. For a second there, I was like, holy crap, is this Warcraft 3? He's actually just going for a surround on this Stalker. Another Stalker is being produced, but it kind of won't do much against this little squad, and he's trying to get the unit out regardless. Oh, lovely body blocking by Maru. His Myco even goes in the bunker and dodges the shot. SOS is in trouble this game immediately.
Maru, he's your teammate. Stop, you know? Give him a little bit of hope. Don't make him look that bad.
That being said, back at home, SOS does have more probes, and that is because he did kill a few SCVs, he did delay this CC, so not all hope is lost, and the follow-up for him, 4 gateways and adepts. This is some ridiculous play by SOS. I don't know, well, I mean, I know what he's going to do with it. I don't know how it's going to work. It comes down to whether Maru can find out what he's doing.
Absolutely, and we'll be finding that out very, very soon. Maru is currently making a medevac. Hellions continue to be produced, so he's looking for a Hellion drop in the next few moments. This Reaper seems to have found the probe on the bottom side, but there's already a probe on the top, making a pylon to warp in from. And of course, these Adepts going to get aggressive soon. Oh, he's going to go Marines and Hellions across the map. So Maru is super aggressive across the map. SOS getting ready to be aggressive. Maru's aggression will hit first, and before SOS has resonating glaives.
I'm very scared for Maru here. Like, this is one of those attacks that you're dead before you know it, and this is going to be, what, like 7 gateways going up or something? He's even warping in a Stalker back at home, and I think this is just kind of trick him, but if Maru gets the information, if he gets enough kills, like where are the Hellions right now? Are they at that watchtower in the middle?
Yeah, they're waiting to dive on the natural expansion. Damage here is really good because it slows down so much of what SOS can warp in. He's built 7 gates, but he can't use 7 gates if you're losing this many workers. Probes are pulled to help out, but there's the Hellions on the natural. Nothing to stop those. A warp in of an Adept, but 12 workers already down.
You have 7 gateways, but you can't use them. You've got no money. 16 probes do fall. The Hellions also get out of there scot-free. At this point, it's looking so darn good for Maru. He's so confident. He's even getting a 3rd CEC. Banshees on the way, which are great against Adepts. Tanks on the way as well. I'm scared that he's putting the units on the low ground, but at this point, I think he's just done too much damage.
It's going to be so hard for SOS to ever make this get out of control properly, as maybe a couple more probes go down here. Even just keeping a couple Stalkers at home. I know this is mostly an Adept attack, but you need everything as SOS now to try and break Maru down. The Adept's coming over, and he sees them with the medevac as well. So now Maru has double confirmation. Confirms the wall off as well. All across his natural. You can't get in here, SOS.
This is some clutch decision-making by Maru. And Maru, wow, he just knows, and he knows so good. Maru takes a 2-0 lead, and right now he is just outplaying SOS every step of the way.
And he might just make it there if he keeps this up. Maru up 2-0. One more map will do it. SOS needs something right here. He cannot make a mistake the way Maru is playing. He needs to play perfectly. He needs to disrupt Maru. He needs some success. Let's find out what he's going to try going into Nightshade. In the bottom right-hand side, up 2-0, our Red Terran player is Maru.
And spawning over in the top left side, he needs your cheers, team. It is Jin Air Green Wings SOS.
And if I do believe so, yes, Maru did send an early SCV out onto the map. Oh,
wait.
They can't have seen each other, right? High ground?
I don't think they can have seen each other. If I look at those little circles that they made, but this is some crazy stuff to get going with this series. And what is Maru going to do with this? Maybe they got a little glimpse there, but...
Yeah, so it's 2 racks, right? So generally this is a marine-based bunker rush, but you come in as SOS, you see no gas, you see no barracks, and you just go cyber core before you expand. You start off with a zealot, and that is already steps towards shutting this down.
I'm just thinking, like, if you're Maru and a probe wanders into your base and, you know, you're not building anything at home and there's no gases, I'm just so worried about my opponent just being at the top of the ramp ready for me. But yeah, then he tries to make a gas and it's like, no, look, I'm definitely doing something with gas, man, something with gas. And I'm not even sure what he's going to do with that. And okay, he does immediately fill up. I thought it was going to be an entire fake, but oh, bunkering at the bottom here against SOS. This is very interesting.
So it's not something that won't work, actually, right? Because what you are looking for here is delay on the Nexus. And it's kind of hard to break that bunker down. If the SCV micro is good, etc., you can keep this bunker here for a long time. and keep SOS on one base, and it looks as though that bunker will get up. It's tough for SOS because he needs a pylon in this blood ground. He needs a shield battery. The Zealot is here. The SCVs only have a few extra seconds to finish up that bunker. Looks like Maru will be good, and with the gas taken at home, factory follow-up will not be far behind it either.
I'm very curious, because if I'm the Terran player, I can tell you that I'm worried about my base right now. Like, what is my opponent going to do? I'm against one of the sneakiest Protosses out there. Is there going to be something proxied on the map that's just going to shut down my mining quickly, like an Oracle, or, you know, potentially DTs later on or something like that? But right now, Maru's just kind of man-fighting him with Marines and SCVs against a Stalker.
Yeah, he's just like, you know what, I don't care, I'm going to kill your Zealot, which is nice, gets rid of some DPS, some tanking. And again, this is still just slowing SOS down. You know, Maru at one base, SOS one base.
Wait, look at this next bunker over here.
That's adventurous.
Oh
no, the Stalker's stuck.
Oh no. That is really bad for SOS. Of course he can recall it later on, or with that Robo gets a Prism. But that is not where you want your Stalker to be right now.
I mean, that has to be the plan, right? Because the 2 barracks are across the map. You know there's going to be a lacking defense at home, so maybe just like a Prism 3-gate attack.
Do you know what could actually happen with this floating barracks? He has high ground vision, and let's say he detects where that Stalker is, and just kind of goes with his Marines and shoots it from the low ground. I mean, it's a...
Yeah, because what else is going to support it? It's going to be tough.
Even a Cyclone that comes along here, like... does
True.
Oh, just denying the expansion starting. That's nice. And look at SOS's money. He just spent quite a chunk of it with that Warp Prism. Ooh!
Colossus.
One base Colossus or Disruptor.
Very true. Could be either. SOS feels crazy enough to play Colossus. Off of this, as we do see this probe will get down to the low ground. He will finally start up a Nexus. One Marine comes over and says, no, you won't. Not just yet. Man, SOS is having some trouble as Maru has started to expand on the high ground at home, taking away some of the threat of a counterattack.
What a funky start by both of these guys. And yeah, Maru's a little bit like, okay, what's really going on this game? But this second barracks flies in from this angle, and he will get the scout off on that Robo Bay, which is great for Maru. Nice micro with the Warp Prism, not really taking any major damage here. Cleans up the bunker, cleans up the Marines. Ooh.
Cyclone gets a lock on for a moment, is fast enough to make its way out of there as well, alive. And the Nexus finally dropping down. Gravitic drives that Warp Prism speed. Question is, what's going to accompany that Warp Prism speed? Is it a Colossus? Is it a Disruptor? Because Warp Prism speed alone doesn't really make much sense. That means you want to be diving and juking around mineral lines, and the choice will be the Disruptor.
If you told me this was how this game was going to go, like before it started, I'd have probably believed you. Like, the fact that it's SOS and Maru, these are the things that can happen when you have 2 teammates going up each other, and one of them's SOS. Like, they're both so crazy in these kind of situations. I do love this bunker by Maru on the high ground, just being very safe. And tanks, he gets the scout off on the Disruptor as well, I do believe. The Viking's great against the Warp Prism. It's just very solid by Maru, and he's going to get up his natural, like, a little bit faster than SOS by the looks of it.
Yep, the tanks starting to come out obviously do give you that progress down to the low ground while being safe. The biggest threat is the Warp Prism, and it is going to come back in towards the main base here, but there's a siege tank that can relocate, and well, it's not sieged up just yet. Worst possible time because it was still sieging. SCVs come in for the repair, and the repair for the moment is good. It finally drops, but the other units are here.
That was really quick by Maru to pull like that, but it's a really good trade by SOS, taking down any tanks. This is the most crazy freaking Disruptor, by the way.
Oh, it gets the Cyclone. Can the Vikings get the kill? It's just going to go down. Prism was full anyways. No space for the Disruptor, as we will see a Dark Shrine. I didn't realize the Twilight Council was down here either, so Dark Shrine and the Twilight build in charge. Bottom of the map, hard for Maru to find anything out. Of course, that's probably because Maru has the racks in the main base all the time scouting.
This is really odd play by SOS, and it's situations like this where players have to do risky things to get back into the game. Oh my gosh, talking about risky, a 3rd CC while you're under this kind of pressure? That is really ballsy, and there's a lot more gateways in production. There's charge on the way as well. The 3rd and 4th gas haven't been taken by SOS, nor a 3rd base. This could get very tricky very fast for Maru.
Absolutely. Now, the one positive is he's got a bunker. The tank is quite far back. But those aren't even necessarily the greatest set of defenses against what's going to be like a flood of charge lots, right? Maybe even DTs to disrupt initially as well. He did build he was building a Banshee at some point, right? But he's going into a Raven now, Maru, so... Or maybe it was the Banshee last game, I just forgot because it ended. I'm not sure. Either way, Vikings shut down this Observer, and it is a Raven on the way, so he hasn't answered to these DTs.
But is SOS smiling a little bit, given that he just used a scan on that Observer? This could all go terribly wrong for Maru, and he is sending DTs to do two different spots here. One's heading to the natural, and one's going to the main via that Warp Prism. Oh, but it does meet two Vikings immediately, but upon seeing what this is going to drop, the little blur, Maru must know what's up.
And there's the scan as well. DT's going to go running to the corner. Raven is not far from finishing, however, but that is going to be a bunker at the front going down, and Maru instantly has to pull SCVs to try and hold this off. Remember, all of his units are out in the main base right now. The Raven could maybe order turret down to help out. The low ground siege tank is still just alive, but only for a few more moments as the tank on the high ground drops as well. And it looks like SOS might get a map back right now because Maru is hurting.
He certainly is, but this is super all-in by SOS. Despite getting down that third Nexus, he has to deal more and more damage, but with that new warp incoming from the south spot here, he doesn't have a Warp Prism to back this up, though, and that is kind of worrying, but he gets a bit of a flank on this army.
Coming in, and right now Maru goes running to any corner he can find to choke up those cells. The Vikings will lift back up to the high ground. Maru's lost 26 SCVs, but remember, already on 3CC, there's perhaps a little bit more hope than usual to follow up. He scans the natural, though, and that generally says, oh, I just kind of want to know where you're at before I'm out of here. Some confirmation, is it worth staying in the game? He says yes. Remember, that third CC could be the way that Maru can build back into this. Army supply-wise, Maru is okay. He's about to have stim. He just can't really take any further damage than what he's already taken.
I think Maru, actually, if he does survive, which he didn't last year, as I called out rather helplessly, and I love this wall by him, getting another engineering bay, a bunker at the front as well. This Banshee could be used very well back at home. Oh, this Warp Prism's getting into the main base without being spotted. This could be rough, and yet again for the young Terran player.
Yeah, the two DTs going to start swiping down SCVs. Meanwhile, an attack preparing at the front as units will make their way into the main to clean this up again. The Raven is here. The DTs go running off to the side. I'm not sure where the Warp Prism is right now. It's over here to bypass the wall. Zealots drop on top of the siege tank. Bunker is going to hold for a few more moments, but the siege tank shot does some friendly fire, and it takes a big hit. Bunker drops down. The siege tank goes down now as well, but it looks as though SOS will run out of units. He does take 13 SCVs down with him, and he's now doubling the work count.
Incredible hold by Maru. Like, that could have been so bad for him. The fact that he hugged his SCV, or rather hugged his tank with SCVs like he did. A Colossus and a Banshee in the middle of the map. Upgrades are finishing for both these players, but Maru, he still holds on, and his work account, even though it's low, this Banshee across the map is going to deal a little bit of damage, which is definitely going to be helpful for him, but upon seeing a very, very healthy mineral line, that's not what you want as a Terran player.
Absolutely not. He is going to get 5, not quite the 6 workers there in the end. The Banshee had a bit of indecision. It actually came back a couple of times before he finally sent it once and for all across to the third base. Maybe a miss hotkey or so, pulling it back home a couple of times, but finally gets there, gets 5 workers, down by 16, but obviously at this point SOS is fully functioning on 3 bases. And the upgrades are rolling in from SOS as well as Maru adds on 2 more barracks. Doesn't look too interesting going into 2-2 or anything. No more SCVs in production. Looks as though Maru's going to try one big attack and see if he can take SOS down with it.
SOS is definitely in good shape this game. The only deficit that he has is the upgrades, but he's walking around the map. He's got a probe lead for sure, and these DTs and stuff could be very, very harmful for just keeping Maru in his base and not enabling him to actually utilize that third orbital command. And back at home, SOS is just mining very, very freely. This scan is pretty good, though. Like, the fact that he sees no gases, he knows it's going to be a pretty raw power army here.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of tough. He scans again on the third base now as the Warp Prism is back in. SOS, anything he can do to buy a little bit of time. The attack for Maru is just waiting to go. SOS is actually on the map. I mean, it definitely feels like Maru's the one that's getting ready to fight, yet here's SOS pressing the issue anyways.
SOS hasn't probed beyond 53, and I know he kind of doesn't need it, given that he's just staying on this 3-base situation and not really making extra gases, at least on the not on the natural. But it could be problematic, like, unless Maru moves out like this.
There is an interference matrix or 2 available, so you can shut down the Colossi, and there it is. No force field energy, right? So Maru's just going to chase. Zealots already running. The Colossi taking some damage. He will not get there, but the Zealots are forced to fight for a moment or 2. Stalkers have to stop the fight. The Vikings to save the Colossi. Maru, does he have some hope? It's not easy, it's not done yet. The Colossi are now able to fight, of course. That's where the siege tanks will come into play. They need to zone those Colossi out of this fight.
This is actually a very scary situation for both these players. The Colossi, one of them is low and bruised. Maru, he wants to get really far forward, and SOS, he just wants to delay the attack as much as possible. And Maru is now really on the clock, given that the Warp Prism is in his base, disrupting his economy whilst this goes on. But SOS getting on top of the army. Some of the tanks are in siege, but one of the Colossus goes down almost immediately here. The second one is looking pretty low health too. Jaw doesn't get away. The other Colossus can't get with the army. But SOS has dismantled all the economy of Maru. Can he hold this? It looks very good for SOS right now, but you have to respect this army.
Maru just has to keep on going, because any second you give SOS more money he's mining, more chance to break this down. So many Zealots will come in from the right side of the siege tanks, target fire down the Colossus. The Marines use the tanks as a choke point, but it looks as though the Marine count will just not be there. The Stalkers getting the final siege tank. The last few Marines will stem on in, but of course SOS has reinforcements, and that will be the GG. As a crazy start to game number 3 leads to crazy engagements in the end. And finally, SOS is on the scoreboard. SCV pulls a bit more difficult, making some of the attacks that Protoss might like to do off 2 or 3 bases on lower probe counts a bit more difficult. We'll see what they end up doing. It might not matter if they start proxy racking, gatewaying each other super early in the game. As we load on up, we will be starting in the top left-hand side with the red tower in play from Jin Air Green Wings. This is Maru.
And spawning over in the bottom right side is our blue Protoss, already up to something maybe a little bit cheeky here. It is SOS.
Probe wandering across the map yet again. Very early on here, of course, no gateway down or anything like that. Surely he cannot just go proxying up twice. He will not. Gateway drops in the main, just a super early scout.
I think this is one of those things where you try and fake that you're going like a cannon rush or so, or just hoping that your opponent misreacts, because having a probe turn up to your base at kind of around the 40-second mark is ridiculously darn early. But Maru sees that there's no pylon being placed crazily. Also, with the probe turning up so early and not actually leaving to do anything, it usually implies that they haven't spent the time to sit and wait for a gateway to produce. So Maru can at least have that little bit of information on his side that there most likely isn't a proxy gate on his side of the map, at least not from this probe.
No, doesn't look like it, as you do see the SCV going to be with the probe having a little bit of a fight there. And eventually this probe from SOS is going to make its way out, back through into the main, or out through the natural and back across home. Cybercore will start before the Nexus, so perhaps some aggression, of course, from SOS. Get across there with an Adept early and put on some pressure. We've obviously seen kind of a weird set of openings, so we've not really seen a fight. Oh! Well, as that probe goes down, we've not really seen a fight, I was going to say, of an Adept trying to delay a CC outside of the proxy gate, so wow, a little supply depot lift. That's such a mental win for Maru.
Yeah, I'll take a supply depot lift into a probe kill any day of the week. So he goes Reaper, Marine, so this means he's going to get a reasonably fast factory with this and just going to have a Marine back at home. He's already dealt with the probe, so he doesn't really need to worry about that staying on the map, and he places the factory a little bit further away from the barracks, and yet again, which usually does imply that you won't be going for those Hellions, or at least not a multitude of them. Back at home for SOS, he's getting Adepts. He hasn't gone for a tech choice yet, but when you go for a second Adept above like a Stalker or something a bit more stocky, usually you go for a bit of a Stargate just because you need that gas.
Yeah, absolutely, as the Reaper continues to try and get its job done, which is figuring out what the heck SOS is up to. A second gateway before tech and a third gateway immediately implies some kind of pressure, usually getting on the map with a higher gateway count, a bit of a bust attempt on the natural, trying to get some early damage done, and so far Maru doesn't see anything to figure any of that out.
And he will have to find out pretty soon what he's up against, because getting those 3 gateways so quickly, that is kind of scary. You might be wondering, well, what's he going to do with that? There's quite a few things you can get, like Stalker pressure, getting a few Adepts, and getting very, very cheeky. I mean, this bunker, it only does, well, it can only prevent damage at the front of the base. If you get Adepts sneakily inside there, which you very much can do, yeah, you can be in a world of trouble.
Just means you're going to have a higher gateway unit count, then apply pressure with whatever you get off the Twilight Council. So that Twilight Council is going to tell us, I mean, more and more Adepts coming in. It pretty much says it's going to be resonating glaives, and that's exactly what we see coming out from SOS. So Resonating Glaives is going to be the choice here, as Maru still trying to figure out what's going on. Checking the third base, still not allowed back at the front, so you can't see gateway timing or anything like that. Very much so kept in the dark. He does see a pylon on the map, though, and that has to start ringing alarm bells.
Oh, I like this pylon down here at the 6 o'clock spot. It's so far away from your base that you're like, huh, why has he planted something down there? But given that he got that probe and it couldn't plant another pylon even closer to your base, that is a nice start for Maru. He's going for the medevac again. He's going for the Marines back at home, getting a tech lab. I have to assume that's either, well, it's on the factory or the starport, so we'll probably start making some stockier units like a Cyclone tanks, and we actually have a Widow Mine drop on the field as well.
Really want to see this factory starting up something defensive and not just making way for the racks to start up Stimpack, and he does get a siege tank. Wall off starting, maybe he's just seen one too many adepts plus the pylon. He's like, well, what could it be? You're obviously looking for something here. So Widow Mine drop will continue to the main, apply some pressure, while in the same time, Maru will be looking to defend his natural expansion coming out of a supply block in a moment. He is looking very ready, actually, to deal with this. The first adepts won't commit in just yet, and the first tank is really not too far off as the Widow Mines into the main base. SOS is meant to respond to this, but he will not. Retargeting from Maru to get 12 probes!
My gosh, but the game is still going. Adepts are going in. He doesn't have all the Marines in the bunker. The SCVs are trying to fight back as well. There's a tank on the high ground dealing quite a bit of AoE damage here, but the bunker, is it going to stay alive? Big repair. He keeps the bunker alive, and the Adepts actually go shade into the tank fire as well. This is a catastrophe for SOS.
Oh, that repair was clutch, and now these Adepts are a little trapped in the corner here. Some more showing up as Widow Mines will be annoying right now. Look at that mining time being lost in the natural. There's no detection here for SOS. He could build a cannon, but that's about the best he can do. As the rest of the Adepts, a few reinforcements showing up. Yes, Maru can't quite mine from his own natural, but SOS is so committed because as the game goes on, Adepts do not scale well in PvT.
These wall-offs by Maru have been so clean, by the way. So many Terrans leave this base so open. He shades in again. He's in fire of 2 tanks now. The bunker, yes, he's denying mining, but he's losing everything to do it. And back at home, he's on equal probes to his Terran opponent. You can't be in that kind of position. And Maru's actually kept one of his Widow Mines alive. And now he feels so brazen that he's sending his Raven across the map too. And behind all this, he's actually getting Stim together. He's getting a large bio army out. SOS is in a world of trouble, taking damage left, right, and center.
SOS cannot stabilize. He is down on workers, and it looks to stay that way. If he hadn't taken so much from the first 2 Widow Mines, maybe, just maybe, he's in a position to start transitioning. However, now, he's in trouble, and he sort of knows it. +1 attack will start, but what's +1 attack doing for you? I mean, eventually, yes, it's going to help out. That's what I wanted to see. A real tech structure here, a future for the mid-game from SOS, a Robo Bay. If that gets up and running, sure, but at the same time, you mention it. Big bio army coming up, Stim's well underway. A push from Maru. He does start 3rd base, so it's not looking like he just wants to go full on in on 2 bases. But he will still have some pressure to apply. Even that could pull SOS apart.
Luckily for SOS, Maru is slowing down the game a little bit. He's gone for the double engineering bay and the 3rd base. I think he was very worried about Maru pushing across the map, which is why he's went for this drop. He also doesn't have a 3rd Nexus on the way at all. So I think that in SOS's head, he was all about, I've got to slow down this attack that's inevitably going to come. Right? And the answer for Maru is, no, I'm not doing that. I'm actually sitting at home and playing very safe. So the fact that you're not taking a 3rd SOS, if this game goes on, I'm going to be super far ahead. So I love Maru's decision-making. Everything that he's doing this game, he just feels like he's 1 step ahead.
And now SOS is sort of applying the same logic. He sees the 3rd CC and he's like, well, I'm on 2 bases and I kind of need to do something, otherwise you're going to be far ahead. So extra gateways, commit into Warp Prism speed, get charging Colossi, and perhaps just go for it. He will start a 3rd base. We'll see how much use he really makes of that, because at the moment, it's very, very late to what it should be.
Yeah, let's be real. SOS is definitely behind this game. Whenever you go in for an all-in like that and get shut down as hard as he did, you're behind. So SOS has to do some crazy decision-making to get back into this game. So he can either look like a crazy person, it can look really bad, or hey, maybe he makes magic happen. He's been a player in the past that has made magic happen, and miraculous comebacks can happen. But Maru, he's moving out onto the map right now, and he's using a medevac to kind of bide his time a little bit and see if he can move across the map with his main army.
Yeah, he's going to press into the center. Something trailing ahead of the army gets taken down. The Colossus goes into the natural to deal some damage. Marauders are simming in to help it against it. Marines in the main base get so many probes. The entire main mineral line is already slayed. The Marauders keep chasing the Colossus, so SOS hasn't found anything, and Maru's all the way across the map. Tanks can start sieging. He's up that typically hard to break ramp. Auto turrets coming down too, and Maru is taking down everything here. The fuse cells will not be enough to tank for this army. The auto turrets keep on going. Probes are falling, and Maru cleans up.
Is it happening? Is it possible that Maru could potentially reach? Oh! And a lot of respect thrown out there from SOS. He was just outclassed his opponent in this series. Maru moves on to the semi-finals to go up against another one of his